Hi, Rob Dickens. It's great to have you here with us at Mud Run Guide. For those that don't know, you are one half of the co-founders of Rugged Maniac, who have been in the news big time in the last week in our industry. So, congratulations and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, first, I guess, could you tell us a little bit about how this merger that you guys had happen? How did this come about? Because I think a lot of us read the press release last week and we saw a big number and we're wondering what new media, what this company is. So what's the story? How did we get to this next step in the Rugged Maniac evolution?
Well, as you may know, we have been buying other events for quite a while now. Not OCR events, but marathons, half marathons, cycling events, triathlons, all around North America. And it was during that process of researching and talking to more events that we might buy that we bumped into new media. And new media is essentially um, a newspaper company at heart. And they, for the past decade or so, have been buying up old print newspapers and then modernizing them, taking them into the 21st century, learning how to continue the business, even though print is kind of dying off. But as part of that, what they decided was that they would like to get into the event space. And they started with high school sports, like award shows, like at the end of the year, handing out awards for the best soccer player in the county or whatnot, that type of thing. Because they own a lot of local, smaller newspapers, not big, major newspapers for the most part. And so they wanted to build up that community around the paper and around events. And they started with award shows, and then they thought, okay, let's go feel out some marathons and other endurance events like that. And they happened to be feeling out one that we were feeling out, and that's when our paths crossed. And I guess they thought to themselves, hey, instead of us launching our own event company, why don't we just buy these guys, and they can run it for us. We'll give them the money, and they can go out and buy all kinds of interesting events that they think that they can turn around.
Great. Awesome. So, yeah, I think that leads perfectly into one of the biggest questions I feel like that has come up when the announcement came out is what does this mean for like if I'm going to a Rugged Maniac? Are you guys going to have more events now? Is this going to change the course? Am I going to feel a difference when I'm at one of your events?
I would say you probably won't notice anything for the next 6 months or so. We haven't yet gone too deep into discussions with new media about improving what we're doing at Rugged Maniac. That wasn't really their focus of the deal. They want us to go out and buy other things, other marathons, half marathons, maybe some things in the OCR space. It really just depends on what the opportunities are. Now, for sure, as we always do, we'll continue to improve Rugged Maniac and all of our events. But again, the purpose of this purchase wasn't to go out and just dump a lot of money right into Rugged Maniac, but to allow us to expand even further.
Great. So, and you guys you have such great perks in the industry. The free spectators, and you did have the race entry refunds. So, those are kind of two different things. But I know a lot of people, and you have such a great festival. I mean, over and over again, our race recaps. I know that when I've been at the race with you before, or Bonnie, our social media person has. I mean, people just say they love Rugged Maniac because they get to stay and you have like everything there. You've got all the festival part, you've got cornhole, and sometimes you have mechanical bulls and the
Pie
stein
eating
holding contest,
contests.
pie eating contest, like all of that. Is some of the, it seems like the key features beyond just the course itself when you just look at the Rugged Maniac piece, because I know that's what a lot of our you know people, our readers and whatnot, are most interested in. I think many people want to see that continue to stay. So is that going to be something that new media as well is going to be, or hopefully be able to push that piece to make sure that maintains its feel?
Well, we're going to continue doing everything that we have been doing at Rugged Maniac. Nothing's going to get, we're not going to start taking things away after this deal. If anything, we're going to be adding more things to it. We just haven't gone far down into those discussions yet. But as always, we're always looking for ways to make things better, to keep people happy and to keep them coming back. Because at the end of the day, That's what it's all about for us. It wasn't about trying to be the biggest or the best, but just to make sure people had a great time.
Definitely, definitely. And I know that's one of the things that I loved when I've been able to do Rugged Maniacs, even from the very first one you had at that motocross track in Southwick, before medals, when we got just got a T-shirt at it, which is a great T-shirt by the way. Still was one of you guys were one of the first I think to have like a poly blended nice T-shirt, and so it's great to hear that that's kind of going to continue in some of those core values. You guys are going to keep trying to push to continue that. And then I know that race entry refund piece that you had for a little while, then it ended. Is that something that you guys might bring back or might be able to bring back? Or maybe you
It
could
really
shed some
depends.
light?
Yeah. So what happened was that was funded by a sponsor, and the goal was, and we did it for an entire year. And the goal was to see if we offer everyone free refunds, are people going to come back more often? Are they going to bring more people? Is it going to pay for itself kind of thing, right? And at the end of the year, it didn't pay for itself. It actually cost more money than it generated. And so we had to, as a business decision, stop doing it, just like everybody else in the industry. However, if another sponsor comes along and wants to have their name attached to a great refund policy like that, we would certainly welcome them with open arms.
Definitely. Okay. No, I think that really clarifies because I think a lot of people just saw it. They're like, wow, that's really cool. And didn't, we don't always see the money side of it behind that goes into it all. Uh, and I mean, does this mean as well when you say maybe expanding? I know you guys haven't had a kids race. Some events have them. Is that maybe something you guys might consider, or we guys kind of try to
Not,
keep it where you're at?
not in the short term. Simply
Okay.
put, I mean, in the very beginning of our days, we did have a kids course. It was a very rudimentary one, like back in the 2011, right? But what we found is that there was so little interest at that time, and I know that the industry has changed a lot since then, and there are a lot more kids into this nowadays. It's not something that we have given a lot of thought to. If the demand continues to be there for a kids obstacle race, we will certainly do that. It's just we just have to have enough people to make it worthwhile. It costs a lot of money. It costs at least $200,000 to build a Rugged Maniac event every single time, right? And adding a kids event is going to add at least $50,000 to that, right? So again, from a business standpoint, we have to have enough kids in order to make $50,000 back to justify the cost of spending all that money. And we haven't seen that yet.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, it really comes down to being able to make it profitable so you guys can stay around like you have been for so many years now. And, another thing that you guys introduced that's a newer thing is the Rugged X. And I know we had one of our contributors went to it recently and loved it. And she actually asked if you maybe will introduce new medals for Rugged X, or if there's going to be any major format changes. Now, I know you kind of already addressed this. Will you kind of keep that competitive heat as well? I know these are maybe very forward questions that you have to sit down with new media with, but these are what our kind of contributors are wondering
Sure.
right now.
Yeah, no, new media isn't going to change anything about what we're doing at Rugged Maniac. So everything's going to stay the same. Rugged X is going to stay the same. The qualifying for the OCR World Championships is going to stay the same. New media, again, is really mainly interested in us going out and buying other things, which could be other OCR companies, but probably will be marathons and things like that.
Great. Yeah, and so I guess with that as well, with new media, this what seems like a really interesting dynamic now is that maybe we'll see more obstacle racing press and a little bit more mainstream publications like Main Street USA Gazette.
Exactly.
So in a way, maybe this was going to introduce more people.
That's what they wanted to do, right? So they already own a bunch of newspapers, a bunch of digital outlets throughout the country. But now, in each community, they can say, hey, we can bring a 5K or a marathon, or we can bring an obstacle race right here, and we can cover it with all of our media, both before and after, and really turn it into just like one of those events that you've had in your hometown for 50 years. It was like in my hometown, it was the Azalea Flower Festival. The whole festival about flowers, and there's like 100,000 people in downtown, right? It's more about creating that community environment where everybody feels like they're a part of it, And if they're reading about it in their local paper before and after, and if they see reporters there from the paper participating in all of that stuff, it'll just really make the events more of a local tradition and will increase attendance and bring some benefit in the form of more sponsors, more free gifts for all the participants.
Great, yeah, and if not, and as well, maybe even more people will. When you say I work in the obstacle racing industry, they'll say, "What? What's that?" even though more people know what it is, but I still find myself explaining what this is on an airplane to people more often than not.
Well, I think this is the first big step into, because they own 570 or so publications throughout the U.S. and that's that's a lot of markets. That we can start spreading the word about OCR.
Excellent. Yeah, I think this is, and I really appreciate you, Rob, taking the time because I think this will really help people kind of understand. Because I know a lot of people that gut reaction when we saw this big number, millions of dollars, over $10 million, that number. People have that gut reaction of, oh no, this is something I love. What's it gonna do to this thing that I enjoy coming to my home area, my hometown every year? So maybe this means you guys will come to Salt Lake City now, being here in
Well,
Salt Lake.
that's we will expand Rugged Maniac after this deal. There are a few markets that we're looking at. Next year, we'll probably have one or two added to the schedule, and the rest will be added in 2020. So we are going to reach new markets, and again, like you may see us pop up with regards to other OCR companies if they're not doing too well, and we think we can go in and fix what they've got that's broken. We may be able to expand that way too.
Oh, this is great, and this is fantastic. So, and I think a lot of people probably didn't even realize that you all owned marathons and some other types of races. So, beyond Rugged Maniac, if there's a way that people want to kind of know what other events you put on, if they want to kind of expand outside of the OCR world, like, is there a good way to do that and find out what some of your other events are?
I'm in the process of building a website right now to consolidate everything together. And that website will be ruggedraces.com, which is our company name. For now, you can see a lot of the marathons that we have at locoraces.com. Locoraces.com, it was a production company here in New England that we bought, and then we're adding marathons and half marathons to that schedule of events as well. But there are others like the Milwaukee Marathon that we just bought that you won't see on that website right now. But check back for ruggedraces.com in about a week or so, and that should be up and running.
Well, Rob, thank you. This has been great, and I really appreciate you taking the time and answering some of the questions that I know our community's had post announcement. And congratulations again to you all, and excited to see the future for all the rugged races you guys put on.
Yeah, we are too. And both myself and my partner Brad, we're not going anywhere. We're locked into at least 5-year employment contracts here. So there's really nothing that's going to change for the worse at all for Rugged Maniac. Everything's just going to get better.